All right, we have joined us via Skype from Washington, D.C. to discuss President Biden's plan to reshape America through diverse dimensions. And he is a global affairs analyst, Sam Fate. It's good to have you join us on TVC News this hour. All right, let's get into the discussion now. The president has described this as a once-in-a-generation investment in America. What does this really mean for the American people? Sam, can you hear me? All right, Sam, if you can hear me, we're talking about President Biden's plan to reshape America. He called it the once-in-a-generation investment in America. Talk to us about what this really means for the American people.
Yeah, I think it means that they're going to see a paradigm shift within the economy. For example, a lot of jobs are going to be created through this plan. Now, this is very important, looking at the fact that the country is just coming. We are right now in the middle of the coronavirus epidemic, so a lot of people have also lost their jobs. So it means that now jobs can get created, especially in terms of the construction area. A lot of this have to do with construction, from building the new, increasing broadband capabilities, to building new pipelines for waterways, building new infrastructure, roads and bridges. So that means a lot of jobs in the construction sector, which pays a lot. So a lot of people will see an increase in income. A lot more people will be able to have jobs. What is more important here is that part of the plan is going to reclaim some of the closed or unused mines, right? So a lot of people have lost jobs in the mining sector. Like if you go deep into northern Kentucky, if you go into West Virginia, places like West Virginia, that means a lot more people in those areas will be able to get jobs. So they can now get jobs in the construction sector. So there will be a lot of shift, and I think it's a good way to roll the economy and make it active and more competitive in the global stage through the $2 trillion plan.
A pretty ambitious plan by President Biden now. We've seen that it was greeted with opposition, but why is it so hard to come up with an agreement that will improve the nation's infrastructure?
Yeah, obviously, it's America, and partisan politics has to play. One would have thought there would be a little bit more bipartisanship towards this bill. Looking at the history of when you make huge investments of this nature, usually comes from the GOP, which is the Republican side of the aisle. Now, obviously, investments like this have been made by Franklin D. Roosevelt when America had the Great Recession, and such investments were also made in the 1950s into the infrastructure, and that's how America ended up having its interstate systems, and that is why it is a once-in-a-generational thing. And now we are the same kind of investment is being initiated, and these were investments that really made America's economy so robust. But I think one of the things that the Republicans always they favored is corporate tax. So they wanted to significantly lower corporate tax. In 2017, former President Trump did lower the corporate tax. Part of paying for this plan, when you say we are going to implement a $2 trillion plan, that's a lot of money. Somebody has to pay for it. And government generates money to pay for projects, including social service projects or projects that are going to benefit everybody across the board through taxes. So that tax has to come from somewhere. Now, since Biden was running for president, most of his plans, he said, would be paid by increasing corporate tax. So he's trying to increase the tax cuts again, back from where Trump lowered it in 2017 to the 28% where it was previously at. And I don't think that from an economic perspective, that this is going to lead to the loss of jobs or is going to bring any hardship to corporations. Perhaps it will even be more difficult if he tried to increase the capital gain tax in order to fund for this. But he was smart enough not to attempt that way. Then he would have even faced more opposition. So corporations and lobbyists for these corporations are trying to make sure that the corporate tax doesn't increase. But activists are also saying that lowering the corporate tax doesn't benefit America or the government or even the people. It benefits CEOs of these companies who end up either doing buybacks, which are actually illegal, or even paying themselves more bonuses. It shows the high increase, which billionaire Warren Buffett has always argued, It shows how high the salaries and the bonuses that CEOs get compared to some of their staff. So the increasing the corporate tax doesn't change the fact that it's not going to lead to loss of jobs. Jobs are going to be created. Going back to the 28% is fair. He's not going more than the 28%. He's not asking them to pay 35% in order to fund this. Let's go back to where it was before 2017 is all he's asking for.
So you're saying it's not really an attack on the wealthy like Republicans have said that it is. And looking at how the parties do not seem to find a common ground as to how to fund this project, do you see them coming together anytime soon? Because President Biden will soon release another plan.
I think at some point they would have to come together because America's infrastructure is crumbling. The infrastructure here is very bad. Perhaps people watching me in Africa or certain parts of Nigeria will be like, "Is he kidding me?" But but the infrastructure here is really crumbling, and it's bad. I mean, America has to remain a global economic superpower. You know, being a superpower is not just about the military, and its infrastructure is in their needs. It's so bad, and they have to invest in it in order to make it as strong as its military, if not even more, in order for them to remain an economic superpower and be competitive with countries like China. You know, China recovered very quick from the coronavirus epidemic, and we are still struggling with that over here. Also, if you look at countries like, look at the Huawei issue, if you look at countries like Japan and some countries even in Southeast Asia and Taiwan and China itself, their internet is pretty much probably cheaper and also faster than the one we use here in the United States. It may interest you to know, for example, we live in a world of technology, and certain part of the US don't even have proper fiber optics internet or high-speed broadband internet. They're still using satellite internet in certain parts of America. So they need to make sure that they invest to ensure that these areas everywhere in America has internet, and that internet becomes a universal thing for Americans. That is how we're going to become competitive. Now, on the other hand, too, we see what happened in Flint, Michigan, with the water crisis. I mean, there are more places in this country that are in their need of clean drinking water. So this is why more than $100 billion of this $2 trillion have to be spent in ensuring that all the water pipelines are changed, and then there is clean drinking water becomes accessible to everybody. So these are very, very critical social service investments that I think the Republicans have no choice but to agree on.
Of course, a very interesting conversation. I know that a lot of persons would find that hard to believe. Sam Fati, Global Affairs, and thank you so much for joining us on The World Now.